Welcome everyone. So we're starting our pattern drafting by taking 1.5 inches mark, and that 1.5 inches mark will be for our turning in. That will be what we'll be turning at the down line. Then we'll be taking the length of the shot. So I'll be making a 16 inches mark all through like that. Then I'll be joining all 3 points with a straight line too. So after that, the next thing we'll be doing will be to take our sewing allowance for our back piece. We'll be starting our pattern drafting on the front piece, but we'll just give space for the back piece sewing allowance, and I'll be explaining that in the course of the tutorial. So the next thing, we'll be going straight to our crotch measurement, and I'll be using 9 inch. So I'll be using 9 inches, and the 9 inches I'm using is as a result of the fact that this is a short and not a high waist. So I'll be taking my hip measurements on that line, and I'll also be taking the hip measurement on the waistline too. So I'll be joining the measurement I took on the crotch and on the waistline like that. Next thing that I'll be doing will be to work on the waist. So I'll divide my waist into four, mark it. Then I'll be taking 1/2 inch for our darts, since our darts will be a 1/4 inch on both sides. And I'll be joining a curve from the crotch or the thigh line to the waistline. The crotch line is also your thigh line. Now, this waist is going to be a tight waist, so every measurement I'm taking is void of any ease allowance. So there's absolutely no ease allowance. So I'll be taking my thigh measurement, and my thigh measurement is 22. I divided it by 2, and I'm taking it on the crotch line, and I added 1 inch to that, and that 1 inch is for your crotch ease. So the same measurement I took on the crotch line, I'll also be taking it on the down line. Then I'll be joining both with a straight line like that. Now I'm taking 1 inch inwards on both ends of the down line. Now this will be what we actually really make our short tight, because it is actually becoming a converging shape at the downline. So I'll be taking 1/2 inch below the waistline, and I'll be joining it to the waistline. And after doing that, I'll be making use of my tape rule to make a 1.5 inch point downwards there like that. That will help in joining my curve to the tie line. After doing that, I'll be bending the down line, the excess I gave, the 1.5 inches excess I gave on the down line. Then I'll be marking the point at which they touch that converged line. Then I'll be joining with a straight line like that too. And that is for my bending. So now we'll be working on the back piece, because we are done with the front piece, and we'll be starting by adding 1 inch to that crotch ease. Then we'll be joining it back to the position like that. So after doing that, the next thing we'll be doing will be to take 1/2 inch upwards, and taking our 1/2 inch upwards from our initial line is just the excess that is remaining on top of that line. So that whole line is parallel 1/2 inch line to our initial line. Then I'll be taking 2 inches all through from the left hand line I'll be cutting from. So I'll be marking 2 inches at various points. So if it were to be that part were to be straight down, there would be no need for me taking another 2 inches for. So the 2 inches I'm actually taking is the 2 inches that would be for the sewing allowance. So when I was taking on my measurement, I didn't add any sewing allowance. So that 2 inches now will be for the sewing allowance. So I will make a curve to join all points like that. Now I'll take my initial waist, then I'll add it by 2, then I'll slant it to that top line I took, that 1/2 inch top line I took, and wherever it touches that line, I'll mark a point. So from that point, I'll also be joining down to that 1.5 inch point I marked there. Then I'll also be straightening out my waistline for the back piece. So as you can see, it's actually pretty easy. So we've succeeded in drafting both the front and the back piece on this paper. So the next thing to do now will be to bend so I can get my turning excess to be perfectly at the same point where it touches that of the back piece. So if you look very well, you will see that what I marked out for the back piece was with black ink, and what I marked out for the front piece was with green ink. So at this point, you will see that both lines are not on the same position. So I'll actually notch it like that. Then in the course of cutting, I will explain how I'll maneuver through that difficulty. It's actually easy though. So you will see just now after I'm through with cutting. So I will bend that excess is inside like that, because that excess is for the front piece. So I'll bend it inside and I'll use it to cut out the back piece. Then after cutting out the back piece, I'll cut out the paper to the front piece, which was the initial cutout or the initial mark out we did. So after cutting out everything to the front piece like that, I'll open up what I folded inwards initially, and I'll cut it off like that. Then I also use it to cut out the front piece. That's that. Thank you.